Roughly 36,000 people die on American roads every single year. The numbers between 2009 and 2014 were around 33,000 people. Then it jumped to 35, 37, 36, 38,000 in 2020. Last year, the number was closer to 43,000 people. With that in mind, which states are home to the most deadliest roads in America? You might think that those huge interstates might top the list. It's the smaller roads that are more dangerous and deadly based on the number of fatal accidents per 100 miles. And that's the key here, number of fatal accidents per 100 miles. And I'll talk about the methodology behind the stats at the end of this video. The maps aren't great, but the information's valuable. So State Route SR 140 in Maryland, it's a 50-mile stretch of road. Number of fatality accidents per 100 miles is 22. State Route 40 in Florida, it's 92 miles long, 23 deaths per 100 miles. SR 809 also in Florida, it's 46 miles long, 24 deaths per 100 miles. State Route 60 in Florida, 161 miles stretch right there across the state, 25 fatalities per 100 miles. US 192 in Florida, it's a 75-mile stretch. Number of fatality accidents per 100 miles is 27. Interstate 4 in Florida, 132 miles long, 27 deaths per 100 miles. State Route 14 in Tennessee, it's 55 miles long. The number of deaths is 29. Back in Florida, State Route 13 is 32 miles long. Number of fatality accidents per 100 miles is 31. Interstate 410 in Texas, it's 50 miles long in that circle there, 32 deaths. On the west side of the state of where I am in Washington, State Route 99 is 49 miles long. It's a very busy area, 33 deaths per 100 miles. Back across the country in Georgia, State Route 139, 30 miles long. The number of deaths, 34. State Route 101 in Arizona, right there in Phoenix, it's 61 miles long. The number of deaths is 36. Interstate 605 in California, it's only 27 miles long, but number of fatal accidents per 100 miles is 37. State Route 3 in Michigan, it's 27 miles long. The number of fatal accidents is 37 as well. Interstate 215 in California, it's 55 miles long. The fatality accident stats are going up. It's 38 deaths. Interstate 295 back in Florida, just around Jacksonville, it's 61 miles long in this loop here. The number of deaths is 39. State Route 826 in Florida, it's 30 miles long. 40 deaths per 100 miles. Interstate 285 in Georgia, as it loops around Atlanta, 64 miles long, 41 deaths per 100 miles. This flat stretch in Tennessee is State Route 175, is 26 miles long. The number of deaths is 42. State Route 39 in California, north and south, it's 50 miles long. The number of deaths is 42 as well. Interstate 805 in California is 28 miles long. The number of deaths is 43. It is dangerous to be in California. State Route 91, 59 miles long. The number of fatal accidents per 100 miles is 51. Back in Florida, State Route 436 is 26 miles, 51 deaths. In New Mexico, State Route 45 is 23 miles, small area, but the number of fatal accidents per 100 miles is 57. If you were to travel the 121 miles along US 301, number of fatal accidents per 100 miles is 62. 16 miles is what State Route 5A is in Florida. The number of accidents that result in death, 64 per 100 miles. Interstate 710 back in California, it's only 23 miles long, but it's 65 deaths per 100 miles. State Route 11 in Tennessee, it's 19 miles long, but the number of fatal accidents is 77 per 100 miles. This stretch here on State Route 9 in Florida, number of fatal accidents per 100 miles is 95. And last on this list, State Route 12 in Texas. This is a 20-mile stretch. The number of fatal accidents per 100 miles is 112. To figure out the most dangerous roads, this study used Fatality Analysis Reporting System data from the National Traffic and Highway Safety Administration. They looked at their accident data file for 2019 in order to determine the number of accidents that occurred on each road. They took the length of each road in order to calculate the number of fatal accidents per 100 miles. That's why you get that number. In order to determine which roads were the most dangerous, they looked at roads with at least 10 fatal accidents and ranked the number of fatal accidents per 100 miles. They used the same data to similarly determine the number of fatal accidents per 100 miles that happened by the type of road, state route, U.S. highway, non-3-digit interstates, and 3-digit interstates. To determine the most dangerous roads in bad weather, they looked at roads with at least 10 fatal accidents that happen in rain, sleet, hail, snow, fog, smoke, or smog, blowing snow, and or freezing rain or drizzle. Those are the 30 most dangerous roads in America.
One final note, if you are in the market for a new vehicle soon, great. Connect with your local dealership and price and test drive at least 3 different vehicles. A vehicle's strengths and weaknesses can only be discovered when you are behind the wheel. My reviews can be good, but you need to test drive these yourself. Visit quotes.everymandriver.com, select the make, model, and your zip code, and you'll get invoice pricing in your area on those vehicles. Shop smarter with price quotes at quotes.everymandriver.com.
Thanks for watching. Please click subscribe and give us a thumbs up. See you next time.